We begin with our headlining story. The Housing and Local Government Ministry is ready to consider suspending the issuance of new licences to sell liquor following a rise in the number of road accidents involving drunk drivers. However, its Minister Zuraida Kamarudin said that there are several matters that must be considered and discussed with other ministries before a freeze can be implemented.
Satu adalah dari segi undang-undang penguatkuasaan hukuman, itu satu harus dikaji semula. Yang keduanya undang-undang transportation yang melibatkan Kementerian Pengangkutan, yang itu mereka harus uruskan dulu dan sebagainya. Kemudian itu ini juga bersangkutan dengan MITI, Ministry of Trade and International Industry. So ini harus kita bincangkan bagaimana cara ke depan kita. Jadi untuk mengatakan bahawa kita nak ban all this, kita kena masih lagi semak dan juga telitikan.
Zuraida also said that her ministry will study the statistics on accidents involving drunk drivers before making any decision. She told this to reporters when asked to comment on a spate of fatal drunk driving accidents that have happened in the country in recent weeks. Now, the Kuala Lumpur City Hall DBKL said it has frozen all applications for new liquor licences in the capital effective immediately. Its Licensing and Petty Traders Development Department in a statement on Tuesday also said that enforcement action would be taken against any premise found to be selling liquor without a licence. On Monday, Federal Territories Minister Tan Sri Anwar Musa called for the government to stop the issuing of liquor licences until new guidelines were in place and laws revised. This follows a series of road accidents involving drunk drivers of late, some of which have caused death. The short-term economic recovery plan for the June to December 2020 period will be launched by Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin this month. Finance Minister Datuk Sri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz said the plan will still focus on three key objectives, namely to empower people, propel businesses and stimulate the economy.
Welcome.
The Minister said the short-term economic recovery plan is the fourth of the six-phase approach by the government in weathering the health and economic challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic. He added the government's approach was based on four characteristics. Firstly, the plan must be agile and dynamic, prioritising public-private sector cooperation, ensuring comprehensive communication by upholding transparency and openness, as well as using data-based approach.
Sejak awal bulan Mei, saya dan rakan kerja Kementerian Kewangan telah mengadakan sesi libat urus bersama lebih 100 pihak berkepentingan. Ini termasuklah sektor pelancongan, usahawan sosial, industri kreatif, persatuan peniaga, teknologi dan e-dagang, pendidikan, perumahan, pembuatan, sumber manusia, perubatan swasta, perkhidmatan profesional, NGO serta pertanian dan perladangan. Kementerian juga telah menerima dan menganalisa pelbagai cadangan mengenai langkah-langkah yang boleh diperkenalkan.
Explaining the first characteristic, which is agile and dynamic, he said this meant that the plan could be improved and refined continually according to current needs or unprecedented situations throughout this year. On prioritising public-private sector cooperation, he said the plan would cover various measures with the cooperation of as many industry players from the private sector and not only from government-linked companies and government-linked investment companies. With comprehensive communication and wide reach, the government will ensure the communication efforts are done continuously for the people and business sectors to make the plan's efforts a success. Finally, Datuk Sri Tengku Zafrul said the implementation of the plan would be based on data and statistics so that each achievement could be monitored and refined with speed and accuracy. Consumers in the residential segment can decide to pay their electricity bills accrued during the Movement Control Order MCO period by instalments until December this year. Tenaga Nasional Berhad TNB Chairman Datuk Sri Mazir Khalid said the assistance was given automatically to more than 7.5 million consumers.
Let's say lah katalah March, April RM600, contohlah 2 bulan itu 300. So RM600 ini boleh dibuat ansuran sehingga ke Disember dengan syarat bil semasanya itu dibayar jugalah.
The move was part of TNB's relief package, comprising an easy payment scheme that offers surcharge waiver on late payments and an extension of supply disconnection suspension. The TNB adjustment bill is using a prorated scheme to avoid consumers from getting extra charges. The government on Tuesday announced the new Standard Operating Procedure, or SOP, for childcare centres to operate. Senior Minister for Security, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, said 304 centres were previously allowed to reopen under basic SOPs, while the remaining 6,696 centres remain closed. However, he added with the new SOPs adjusted by the Women, Family and Community Development Ministry, the remaining centres can now resume their operations. Association of Registered Childcare Providers Malaysia President Anissa Ahmad said the biggest challenge is gaining the confidence of parents to send their children back to the centres.
Next safe place from beside their house is Taska, because Taska have been doing all this hygiene thing for the longest time. We always emphasize on the keselamatan and the kebersihan in Taska, because for us this is very important. And do not worry, most of the Taska have done their SOPs very well. In fact, they have their own SOPs, additional SOP beside the whatever that be given by GKM, and they did it very well. They always update in the FB. They even have the talimat with the teachers and also the parents.
On the recent controversy of separating children of frontliners at childcare centres, Anissa said there was no need for it.
It's not necessary to separate them, because children from the frontliners are much more safe compared to the non-frontliner, because the non-frontliner, they usually go out here and there, you know, but for the frontliners, they are more hygiene, because they already have their own SOP in the hospital. So when they come, they're already very clean and everything. What we worry is not the frontliners parents, but the non-frontliners, because they might, you know, stop here and there, bring the germs or whatever. But anyway, we shouldn't separate the frontliners children and the non-frontliners, because these children need to be, you know, to socialize together.
On the new SOP, Anissa said her association is still awaiting to see the new SOP before more childcare centres can reopen. Another major challenge is getting the centres disinfected. Anissa said some states get assistance from the fire department to disinfect the centres. However, there is a waiting list to go through. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri also delivered the long-awaited good news that film crews have been waiting for. Filming for movies, dramas and commercials can resume again on June 10th with a new SOP set in place. CEO of Primework Studios, Datuk Ahmad Izam Omar, said the industry is still waiting to see the final SOP from the National Film Development Corporation, FINAS, before resuming shoots. Even with the new SOP, Datuk Ahmad Izam said filming might not resume right away for films and drama series, as the new SOP might affect the storyline and how they are shot.
I would say all our dramas were on hold, and some drama production got stopped, meaning ideation. Even the ideation stage, we don't know yet, so suddenly got stopped. So I don't have the right number, but I know offhand that we had 3 drama productions that went on hold. But they will continue after they. Now we get the new SOPs. Then we realize that okay, certain things need to be thought of in another way, you know, or maybe the flow of the story needs to be the different way to adjust to all these SOPs. All these SOPs actually will add additional time and resources, but I don't think we should complain about that, because it is the new norm. You know, of course, a lot of people will say, "Oh no, our costs are going to increase," but you know what? This is the world we live in, right? There is a bad virus going on out there. So I think, in that sense, we need. I think we will just have to be very creative in the story flow, in the camera shooting, and the director of photography needs to be really, really careful and all that stuff. But in the end, we still need to make sure the story flows like how it's supposed to flow. And I think it should be okay.
He said timing of the release of films will also have to be timed with consumers' confidence to return to cinemas.
The confidence of going to cinemas is not soon, but it will happen, I feel, because once once everything recovers, people will go back to their habits of going out to the cinemas. It's just that we need to make sure that we are able to sustain until then. But to that point, there is also a new normal right now where everybody is now used to getting all their content digitally and online. So while we see the market landscape shifting to that, then we also start looking at how we can supply to clients who are more or digital, or people call OTT clients, which is over-the-top clients, digital TV basically. So we see demand increasing from that also. But while we try to serve that demand, we also slowly look at how the cinemas are recovering, and we have full confidence that they will recover. But to what extent, we don't know.
Among the new SOP includes social distancing, thermal scanning among crew, and frequent sanitizing of filming equipment. Also, good news for couples planning to get married. They can now get permission from the police to cross state borders for their akad nikah. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri also announced that wedding photographers may also resume shooting. However, this is limited to only pre-wedding shoots, as wedding ceremonies are still not permitted.
Mesyuarat faham keperluan tersebut, jadi mesyuarat pada hari ini bersetuju untuk membenarkan rentas negeri bagi urusan akad nikah dengan syarat yang sama, iaitu perlu mendapatkan kelulusan daripada pihak PDRM.
Couples who are planning to cross borders for their akad nikah have to follow the standard operating procedures set, such as not gathering in groups larger than 20 people and shaking hands. Health Director General Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said the Cheras flat cluster is most likely linked to Hari Raya Aidilfitri visits. He said while a student from a Tahfiz centre had been the first case detected from the cluster, investigations have so far revealed that students, teachers and staff of the centre in question have had a history of attending Sri Petaling Mosque Tabligh gathering.
Kes-kes positif kluster ini adalah merupakan ahli keluarga dan rakan kepada kes pertama yang dikesan. Punca jangkitan kluster ini masih dalam siasatan. Namun besar kemungkinan penularan COVID-19 adalah berkaitan dengan aktiviti kunjung-mengunjung sebelum dan semasa Hari Raya Aidilfitri.
So far, the authorities have identified 120 people via the active case detection strategy. Besides the 6 positive cases, 76 have tested negative, while 38 are still awaiting results. Meanwhile, Malaysia recorded 20 new COVID-19 cases on Tuesday. Out of the 20 new cases, 15 were imported. The country also saw no COVID-19 deaths for the 11th consecutive day, keeping the death toll at 115. The Sabah government has decided to allow visitors from the Peninsula, Sarawak and Labuan to enter the state again from Tuesday. Chief Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Shafie Apdal said all Malaysians, including public and private sector workers, would be welcomed whether travelling by air, land or sea. Datuk Seri Muhammad Shafie said the state government has also agreed to exempt people from being placed under quarantine provided they have undergone COVID-19 screening at their place or state of origin and tested negative within 3 days of coming to Sabah. He said visitors were welcome to find accommodation at the many hotels in the state which have been operating since May 10th. He further explained that non-Sabahans and non-citizens were required to produce their work passes or other related documentation once they arrived in the state. Still to come on Nightline, authorities foil bid to smuggle in 17.74 million ringgit worth of cigarettes. Do stay tuned. We're back with Datuk Seri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak's SRC trial. The Kuala Lumpur High Court was told on Tuesday that the former Prime Minister should not be convicted based on the court of public opinion in his SRC International Sdn Bhd case. His lawyer, Farhan Raid, in his submission said, although the charges framed against the Pekan MP, who allegedly embezzled 42 million ringgit from the company, were serious allegations, the decision made by the court should not be influenced by the public's anger and instead should be decided based on facts and the law. Farhan also explained how public opinion had linked Datuk Seri Najib and SRC International, former subsidiary of One Malaysia Development Berhad, 1MDB, with fugitive businessman Low Tek Jo or Joe Low and his lavish lifestyle. This made it hard for the defence to find the needle of proof in the case. Datuk Seri Najib is facing 7 charges of misappropriating 42 million ringgit of SRC International funds, comprising 3 counts of criminal breach of trust, 3 counts of money laundering and 1 count of abuse of position. The hearing of the submissions before Justice Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali continues on Wednesday. Earlier, Datuk Seri Najib's trial on 3 additional money laundering charges involving 27 million ringgit of SRC International funds, which was initially set to commence on Tuesday, had to be postponed to make way for his ongoing corruption trials, including the 1MDB trial. The Customs Department has foiled an attempt to smuggle in cigarettes worth 17.74 million ringgit at Pasir Gudang Port in Gelang Patah, Johor. Its Assistant Director General of Enforcement, Datuk Johari Alifia, said the seizure involved 2 containers from 2 different companies on May 18th and 19th. Both containers were declared as steel clips from China and aluminium tools from Vietnam. However, checks revealed over 8.7 million sticks of cigarettes in one of the containers, while the other had over 10.6 million sticks. A forwarding agent who made the declaration for the container from Vietnam was arrested to assist investigations. A septuagenarian was burnt to death in a pre-dawn fire which razed her house at Jalan Lama Wakaf Baru in Tumpat, Kelantan on Tuesday. The charred remains of 76-year-old Zainab Abdul Rahman were found in the living room of the house by firefighters after putting out the blaze at 5:50 a.m. It was learnt that earlier all the occupants, including the victim, had managed to run out of the burning house. However, the victim suddenly went back into the burning house to save some of her personal belongings and was unable to get out as the flames spread rapidly. The victim's son, in his 30s, also sustained burns on his hands and was taken to the Raja Perempuan Zainab II Hospital for treatment. In other news, Indonesian government on Tuesday has decided not to send pilgrims to the annual Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca due to the concerns over the coronavirus. According to its Religious Affairs Minister, Fakhrul Razi, the decision applies to all of Indonesia's pilgrims, both for those under the government Hajj quota, as well as those under separate quotas and visas that are taken care of privately. Apart from the key issue of pilgrim safety, he also added that the Saudi authorities have also not opened access to Hajj services this year, which does not leave the government enough time to make preparations even if Hajj 2020 were to move forward. Indonesia was due to send 221,000 pilgrims to Hajj this year that starts around July 28th. To date, the country reported 609 new cases and 22 new deaths, taking the total number of cases to 27,549 and the total number of deaths to 1,663. Meanwhile, Singapore, which has entered phase 1 of reopening its economy on Tuesday, has reported 544 new positive COVID cases, bringing the tally to 35,836. According to the Republic's Health Ministry, most cases involved migrant workers residing in dormitories and only 4 cases in the community. It also added that a total of 22,466 patients, or about 64% from Monday's tally of 35,292, have fully recovered. Over in the Philippines, the number of coronavirus cases in the country climbed to 18,997 after the Department of Health, DOH, reported 359 more infections on Tuesday. The DOH said the number of recoveries further climbed to 4,063 after 84 more patients have recovered, and the death toll also increased to 966 after 6 more deaths were reported. It is understood that 72 of the daily reported cases were in Metro Manila, 97 cases in the Central Visayas region in the central Philippines, and 165 cases were reported in other parts of the country. We now take a quick look at the highlights in Malaysia's main newspapers awaiting you Wednesday, June 3rd. The New Straits Times focuses on the economic recovery plan expected to be announced this week. Whereas best-selling Malay newspaper Harian Metro highlights the freezing of new liquor licenses by DBKL. Berita Harian meanwhile focuses on the relaxing of more conditional MCO rules. The Malaysian Reserve features a story on industries expecting more government help for recovery. Do get your copies today or subscribe to the e-paper. Looks like that's it for Nightline this time around. We leave you with visuals of Italy's Republic Day celebrations in Rome, featuring the Frecce Tricolor, a popular aeronautical display featuring fighter jets which flew in formation over the capital, emitting plumes of the three colours from the Italian flag. With that, I'm Anita Broom. A bit of travelling for you in our closing visuals tonight. Good night. Take care.